Imagine walking into a courtroom knowing that your oldest friend is about to be your fiercest adversary. That's exactly where Usher finds himself as he prepares to take the stand against Diddy, the very man who once opened doors for him. Behind the velvet ropes and polished oak, decades of loyalty and shared memories will collide with explosive testimony that threatens to shatter a music empire. Diddy's legal team is racing against the clock, desperately trying to discredit evidence from those dramatic mansion raids. They're fighting to keep hidden every photograph, every recording, anything that could undermine their defense. But Usher has finally decided the time for silence is over. He's stepping into the spotlight, ready to reveal truths that will rock the industry and keep audiences glued to their screens. When Usher was just 13, his mother made what she thought was a savvy career move. She sent her teenage son to live with Sean Diddy Combs, hoping the mogul's guidance would catapult him into stardom. Instead, it felt like being thrown into the deep end of an adult world he wasn't prepared for. Imagine a child, still in middle school, swept from the safety of home into a whirlwind of flashing cameras, private jets, and late-night parties. He pleaded to focus on music, to stay out of the clubs, but found himself dragged into scenes where velvet ropes and liquor flowed freely, places where a 13-year-old had no business being. The experience left an indelible mark, one that Usher still says robs him of sleep to this day. Insomnia isn't just about counting sheep. It's about counting regrets and reminders of nights he spent tiptoeing through an adult playground he never asked to join. But teenage trauma under Diddy's roof was only the first chapter. Years later, headlines screamed about a $1.1 million lawsuit settled in 2018 that painted Usher in a very different light. Rumors swirled about his personal life, claims of broken promises, messy relationships, and behaviors that seemed at odds with the polished performer fans adored. Each new allegation seemed to echo the chaos of his youth, as if the tumult of those early days had followed him into adulthood. Yet through it all, Usher kept his head down and his dreams in focus, releasing chart-topping hits and selling out arenas. Still, the specter of his past lingered, popping up in tabloid stories and fueling the constant question, how much did those formative years shape the man he became? Then came the footage that changed everything. A video leaked from one of Diddy's infamous parties showed Usher looking bewildered and overwhelmed amidst a sea of dancers and flashing lights. No one heard a word he said, but his eyes told a story of someone drowning in a world he couldn't control. Viewers paused and replayed the clip, debating what it meant for his mental health. Was this just a tired performer off his game? Or was it the echo of a frightened child still haunted by memories of nights when he was too young to understand what was happening? Usher's silence in the aftermath only fueled speculation, until now. He's trading whispers for courtroom testimony, ready to lay bare the impact of those chaotic scenes on his psyche. Amid these revelations, you might remember Diddy's nostalgic tales of brotherhood with young Usher, stories of wrestling over frosted flakes in Diddy's mansion kitchen. On the surface, it sounded like sweet mentorship, a seasoned star playing big brother to a kid with raw talent. But now those anecdotes look more like red flags in hindsight. Wrestling over cereal might seem innocent, but when you consider it alongside midnight parties and encounters with high-profile producers, it starts to read less like bonding and more like conditioning. What adult would let a child roam freely among celebrities, liquor, and unsupervised rooms? As Usher details in court, those cereal bowl skirmishes were sugar-coated distractions from a daily routine that never should have been his. The ripples of this story extend far beyond Usher. Remember when Justin Bieber burst onto the scene under Usher's wing? At just 15, Bieber found himself sharing stages and studio time, touted as Usher's protege. The world watched, marveling at their mentor-mentee bond, until Bieber started pulling away, subtly unfollowing Usher on social media and declining career-defining collaborations. In hushed interviews, Bieber hinted at vulnerabilities, speaking of sleepless nights and pressures no teenager should endure. It felt like déjà vu, another young star exposed to an adult entertainment machine before they had a chance to grow up. Now with Usher poised to testify, those old Bieber anecdotes resurface under a stark new light. Could the same forces that unsettled Usher have left Bieber with scars of his own? Singer Jaguar Wright took matters further, alleging in a fiery interview that Usher once handed guardianship of a teenage Justin over to Diddy for 48 hours. Imagine entrusting the care of a vulnerable minor to a man who thrived on excess and spectacle. Wright's claims paint a picture of wild parties and questionable decisions masquerading as mentorship. She described it as a lapse in judgment that blurred the lines between protection and exploitation. For fans, it was jaw-dropping. For the court, it was a chilling glimpse into the relationships that shaped pop culture icons. Relationships built on ambition, yes, but mired in power imbalances that might have done more harm than good. Then there's the account of Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, whose grim expose reads like a horror story set to a hip-hop beat. Deal claims that young artists under Diddy's wing were often sent to the hospital after days of partying and heavy drug use. He recounted executives whispering about incidents no one dared confirm, as if the music industry had its own code of silence. Deal didn't just hint, he shouted allegations of grooming, coercion, and substance abuse, all shielded by fame and money. When he spoke of children wired and tested for drugs, it sounded less like backstage anecdotes and more like a thriller gone off the rails. Now Usher's testimony will either corroborate or contradict these explosive statements, and everyone in that courtroom will be hanging on every word. As these personal revelations take center stage, the business side of Diddy's defense is unraveling. Anthony Rico, one of New York's top defense attorneys, filed to resign mere weeks before the trial, citing reasons tied to attorney-client privilege. Nobody knows exactly what prompted his departure, but insiders whisper about conflicts over evidence suppression and strategy disagreements that couldn't be reconciled. If a lawyer of Rico's caliber walks away, alarm bells ring loud enough to shatter glass. Then came the bombshell. Powerhouse firm Grubman, Shai, Meinl & Sachs, Alan Grubman's own legal titan firm, dropped Diddy from their roster. Rumor has it, Lady Gaga demanded they choose between her and Diddy, and they chose Gaga without a second thought. Losing such heavyweight support is more than a PR nightmare. It signals a crisis of confidence in Diddy's defense. With jury selection slated for May 5, 2025, the courtroom atmosphere is electric. Both sides are playing legal chess, trying to seat jurors who haven't been poisoned by months of media frenzy. The defense wants blank slates, people who haven't read a headline or watched a trial recap. The prosecution aims to call forward those who recognize the gravity of Diddy's alleged crimes. In voir dire, each side will use limited strikes to remove jurors they deem unsafe, while the judge probes for bias. It's a high-stakes dance where one misstep could tip the balance. Will Usher's candid revelations sway the jury before they even convene? Or will Diddy's team blunt the impact with surprise witnesses and conflicting narratives? Despite Diddy's denials of wrongdoing, the walls seem to be closing in. Prosecutors argue that Diddy ran a criminal enterprise for decades, using his fame and fortune to coerce victims and hide evidence. They claim he trafficked individuals for sexual performances and recorded encounters for personal use. The defense counters that these were consensual gatherings among adults, private matters blown out of proportion by a racially biased justice system. They argue that Diddy is being targeted as a successful black entrepreneur. But as Usher's testimony looms, the case transforms from abstract legal arguments into a personal saga of betrayal, trauma, and the high price of fame. Throughout all this, Usher's journey has come full circle. The boy who once starred wide-eyed at Diddy's concerts is now the man poised to expose the ghosts of his past. He's no longer just the smooth-voiced R&B superstar. He's a witness with a story that could change the narrative of how we view mentorship, power, and responsibility in the entertainment world. When he steps up to the microphone, every friend, every rival, and every fan will be listening. His words could send shockwaves through the industry, forcing labels and artists to rethink the fine line between guidance and exploitation. So what does this mean for us, the audience sitting at home? It's proof that fame isn't just glitz and glamour. It's a pressure cooker where personal histories collide with business ambitions. Usher's decision to testify isn't just about legal justice. It's about reclaiming his own narrative. It's a chance to shine a light on the darker corners of an industry that often hides its missteps behind Billboard charts and Grammy trophies. And if the court of public opinion follows suit, it could spark a broader reckoning, inspiring other stars to speak out about the price they paid for success. As the trial unfolds, every twist and turn will matter. Will Usher's testimony hold up under cross-examination? Can Diddy's defense fracture the foundation of those claims? Which stories will resonate most with the jury? The flamboyant party photos or the private recollections of a troubled teen? One thing's certain, neither man will emerge unscathed. For Diddy, it's a battle for his freedom and legacy. For Usher, it's a fight for his truth and healing. Stay tuned, because this saga is far from over. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. Every new development, every courtroom revelation, will bring it straight to you. From surprise witnesses to dramatic objections, we'll break down the moments that matter most. Your next question might be, how will this trial reshape the music industry, and what lessons will emerge for the next generation of artists? We'll be here, unpacking each headline, each testimony, and each outcome. In the end, this isn't just a celebrity trial. It's a story about power and vulnerability, about the cost of mentorship when lines are blurred, and about holding even the biggest stars accountable. Usher's journey from a hopeful kid in Diddy's mansion to a key witness on the stand is a powerful reminder that sometimes speaking your truth is the bravest act of all. So stick around, because when the dust settles, we'll be here to explore every fallout, every triumph, and every unanswered question in the saga of Usher versus Diddy.